There's one more thing we have to talk about, though. We haven't talked about yet. The Judas and the Black Messiah movie. We got to give our thoughts on that. Let's get serious and black and talk about this empowerment. So Judas and the Black Messiah is on HBO Max right now. Like I said, get you that subscription, get you that free trial for 7 days. Watch it real quick if you want to.
I would say pay for it too, man. I actually paying for it each month.
Okay.
I've been,
it's worth it.
I've been binge watching The Wire. So it's cool.
Sex in the City.
Yeah, Sex in the City. It's a good
HBO
shit.
Max is like legit, maybe the best streaming service now in terms of selection. They have a lot of shit on there, man.
Yeah,
like I think Netflix is a little shaky now, man. They did.
Yeah,
they did.
Yeah.
So HBO Max might be the best streaming service in terms of selection, man. They have a whole lot of shit on there. But anyway, the movie itself, it's also in theaters if you want to have a whole little, thing to go see it with your friends. But it is out now. It stars Daniel Kaluuya. I think that's how you say his name. I think I'm fucking it up, but he plays Fred Hampton. Of course, Lakeith Stanfield plays the man Bill. I forget his last name, but
Bill O'Neill.
Bill O'Neill. William O'Neill.
Yeah.
The FBI informant who infiltrated the Black Panthers and pretty much sold out Fred Hampton and everybody else. Also, J. Edgar Hoover is played by Martin Sheen. A good job. I'm always worried when a white man plays a racist a little bit too well. Because I start to wonder, man, how are you living your real life if you're that good at it?
Yeah, what was the dude, the actor? He's a really good actor too. He played in Law and Order. He played in the Godfather of Harlem, the Italian dude.
Yeah, I know you're talking about.
That's his name.
The guy who played Kingpin and Daredevil too.
Yeah.
I forget his fucking name though.
So
but he played
Vincent
D'Onofrio or something.
Yeah, there you go.
Yeah, he played that too damn good in Godfather of Harlem.
Yeah,
I'm like, man,
but that's a good actor.
Yeah,
those are method actors. They really absolve the role and really take it in, and just like you sitting there, like, I really want to punch this motherfucker right now.
Yes. So good performances all around. Now I have seen some critical things said about this movie. I was worried when I first watched it because I read a negative review. I think it was on The Vulture, which is funnily named. Funny that is named that. But a negative review from The Vulture talking about how it doesn't really capture, the context of everything that went on in Chicago at that time and racial environment, and it doesn't develop the characters enough. I also see people like No Name, the rapper, and other people say that they were disappointed that it focused more on Lakeith Stanfield's character of Bill O'Neill, the FBI informant, and not all on Fred Hampton, which I have an idea on that, but I'll get into it later. But let's get our thoughts on this movie at first. Figgy, what'd you think about the movie? Did it live up to your expectations, and how do you feel about it?
I think the movie was pretty good, man. I enjoyed it. I watched it from front to back. And I think the good thing about watching movies on HBO Max is you can actually pause it, go to the bathroom, and go get something to eat, and then come right back to it instead of sitting in the movie theater and, anyway, but
Brady, you missed something.
Yeah. I think the movie is pretty good. I ain't gonna sit here and act like I'm just black powered dude that know everything. I didn't know much about Fred Hampton. I remember the name. I knew what he was a part of, but I didn't really know the whole story on what went down. So I learned a lot, and it's funny because after I watch a good movie, I always do the research on it. I get the Googling and all this other stuff, and I try to learn a little more. And it was really interesting, man. It was like it was a little cringy at first, just for the simple fact that, damn, we in 2021 still going through shit like this. And on top of the way, I think what really hit home for me was Fred was only 21. I'm like, damn, I thought he was at least in his late 20s, early 30s. I'm like, damn, 21. I was acting a fool at 21. And this dude was so powerful like that, where they, the government, the FBI was watching him and wanting him dead. So to me, that kind of hit home for me. But overall, I think the movie was good. Lakeith Stanfield did amazing as he always do. And I thought it was funny that it was like 3 different characters that played in Get Out that was in this movie too.
Yes, Lil Rel made a cameo too.
Yeah, I was looking like, is that him? Like, yeah, he played an old wise pimp dude. That scene was kind of weird too. I tried to dig deep into it too. I just don't understand, like, who was that guy? Like, was he part of the government, or I kind of didn't understand that part, but overall, I thought the movie was really good. I think it's worth watching. Yeah, it was good.
Okay. Jay, Belle, what are your thoughts? Did you enjoy the movie?
Let me just say this before I get into that part. We as Black people are so overly critical of each other, for one. So when you mention these negative reviews that came out about how they didn't focus enough on Fred Hampton, the movie was literally called Judas and the Black Messiah. So the focus really was on the fact of William O'Neill's character and how he had a hand in the assassination of the Black Messiah, which is Fred Hampton. That's the story of what he did, the steps that went into that. Now, my review on it is I thought it was wonderful. I thought it was great. I thought the characters that they chose, or the actors that they chose, were phenomenal. Daniel Kaluuya deserves his accolades. He deserves the awards. The one scene alone when they're doing the rally and he just says, "I am a revolutionary," and he says it repeatedly. That scene alone to me was powerful. And it's funny that you mentioned about Lil Rel, Howie, and Lakeith Stanfield and Daniel Kaluuya together in this movie, because they've done so many movies together, the 3 of them, or they've always been in some movies some way together. Their chemistry is crazy. Just Lakeith and Daniel alone, from doing Get Out to this, they have really great chemistry together. And so when you see the dynamic between the two, it's a really believable story. And I feel like, you know, even though it's inspired by a true story, and it makes you want to dive in and find out more history, it's a triggering story because of what's happening today. You know, what we're dealing with as a community with the injustices, and, you know, the FBI having a hand in Fred Hampton's death, and basically assassinating him in front of his own girlfriend. You know, diving into that, it was just kind of like, I feel like I was in it of that time and would love to fight every single cop that had a hand in what happened to that man, because of how young he was and how powerful he was at 21 years old. You know, imagine if the way they told the story, imagine if he would have lived, the power he would have had, or the power he would have today. You feel what I'm saying? Like, that's how powerful that story was told. And I like how they dived in. Even when you watch the beginning of the movie, Lakeith Stanfield's character, William O'Neill, that he plays, the first question is what would you tell your son about what you did back then? That tells you everything that you need to know about where this movie is going into. But the scenery, how they shot it, the relationships between each character and how each character played into what was happening or what was about to happen, I think it was done really good, really well. And I will be pissed if they're not nominated for something next year, for Golden Globes, Oscars, anything. They should. Yeah, it definitely was a good movie. Sorry, I went too long, but
that's all good. Nah, good thoughts. And yeah, I'm sure we'll get its run during the awards season when it's eligible for all that. So yeah, I'm sure we'll see them get their rewards. Now, I watched the movie. I went into it nervous. I was very worried that they would clean up and kind of water down the Black Panther message, because I figured, like, the Black Panthers were probably the most extreme vocal group of that time. You know, the things they called for the complete destruction of the capitalist society of America. They called for cops to be killed. They said we need to liberate our own hoods by force if necessary. Like they are the more extreme in terms of mainstream appeal. So I was very worried that we were going to have this. It wasn't an indie film, man. WB put this out. So I was very worried they would do to basically have my complaints about the movie Black Panther, the Marvel. I know it's a comic book movie, but there were some things about that annoyed me. The good guy CIA agent, the Killmonger being the bad guy, even though his views were more Black Panther-ish than the Black Panther. So there were things I was worried about. I was worried they were going to water down a whole lot for this movie. I was worried they're going to have a good guy FBI agent. And luckily, none of that was the case. You know, they kept it very, very true to, and I know it's a movie, so liberties are taken with the facts. But in terms of the message, in terms of what the Black Panthers stood for and what they were saying at the time and what they dealt with, I thought it was a pretty good representation. And I'm not going to say I'm an expert on Panther, history, but I did watch a few documentaries. PBS did a really good one with surviving members who were there at the time. I think it's on Netflix still. I think it's just called Black Panther or something. But it was very, very well done. And it's a good, and you see watching that documentary that a lot of this stuff that happened in the movie actually really happened in real life. It wasn't just made up for the movie. Mm-hmm. As far as the complaints, one complaint I saw, people didn't like Daniel's portrayal. They thought his accent was off. I don't know Chicago well enough to know the Chicago accent, but I thought he did a pretty good job. The biggest knock on him is that he don't look nothing like Fred Hampton. That's the only bad thing.
He was like mad dark.
Yes.
And their
Fred
face,
Hampton
like they
was
don't.
Dark skin though.
He was dark, but their face don't look nothing. And Daniel gained a lot of weight for this role. Like he got pretty big for this role to look more like him. But ultimately, like if you look at a picture of Fred Hampton and look at a picture of Daniel, they don't look nothing alike. So there's that, but you only can do so much with that, man. So it is what it is.
I'd rather have the better actor than the guy that actually looked like him.
Look just like
exactly.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. So that is
go ahead.
That is what it is. And as far as the complaint about the focus being on Lakeith, I think they did that for a reason. I think this movie was made for people who have only heard bad things about the Black Panthers, because I think the audience is supposed to side with Lakeith at first because, they go to the FBI agent's house and the FBI guy says, these Black Panthers are just the Black version of the Klan, which is what all the racists say about the Black Panthers.
Mm-hmm.
That's what every white guy, when you bring up the Klan, they say, well, y'all had the Panthers. They always compare them. Now. Exactly. Mm-hmm. And now, but they act like it was anything near the same as what the Klan was doing. And we all know it wasn't. Mm-hmm. But they always bring that up. They say, well, the Panthers were just the Black version of the Klan. And it's like, no, but that's what the audience might think when they first watch this movie. And that's what the character of Lakeith is told. And that's what he goes in believing. But then he realizes, like, nah, the FBI is the ones who's fucked up, and this country and the police are fucked up, and they're actually doing the right thing. So I think we're supposed to identify more with the informant as he goes deeper and he realizes, like, no, this movement is legit and they're doing what needs to be done, because he's ignorant to all this shit in the beginning. He said he didn't care about Martin Luther King being assassinated or Malcolm X being assassinated. He didn't care about any of that shit in the beginning. Mm-hmm. So he goes through this change, and that's the one knock I have on the film. It should have been longer.
Yeah, I agree with that too. Mm-hmm.
It's like 2.5 hours long.
It was like 2 hours long. 2 hours and 10 minutes, maybe, including the credits. I'll check the runtime. So it was like 2 hours long, which is fine for an action movie. You can tell an action movie plot in 2 hours. But if you're talking about a movie that needs character development, it should have been at least 2 hours and 30 minutes, maybe 3.
Yeah, it went quick. Like before
it did.
Yeah, because when I paused it, I'm thinking it's still at the beginning of the movie. I'm like, damn, I'm almost done with the movie.
Yes.
So I was kind of shocked. Yeah.
It goes by quick. It feels like they were just trying to jam in as many historical events about that time as they could, and they had to try to bridge it together. But I do feel like we need to spend more time seeing how Lakeith got more into the Panthers and like went deeper into actually believing what they believe, because it kind of happened suddenly. You know, the shootout happens. I don't want to spoil anything, but you know, this shit is real life. It happened in real life anyway, so it ain't spoiling.
Yeah.
But in the shootout, Lakeith's character leaves, but then he comes back and he's all mad that the shit got blown up, and suddenly he's like super into the Panthers now. When before he like
set that
it's
up,
like
though.
exactly. So it's like how did this happen? Like there should have been some scenes where we see him like actually start to care about the Panthers and what they stand for. But it kind of just like it's like a switch that flips, and he's suddenly super into it now. And it's like we needed that to be drawn out a little bit more. So I get that complaint. The character development should have been a little longer. We needed more scenes with Fred Hampton. It should have been longer. And one problem too, I think I saw, they made Bill, what's his last name? O'Neill. They made his character very remorseful at the end. And I don't know if that was true in real life. I think that's just a movie thing where you have to act like he felt bad about it. But in real life, I don't know if he felt that bad about, because he continued to be an FBI informant for years after that shit.
Yeah.
But that's
But it
just
seemed
a
like to
movie
me
shit.
that but it seemed like to me the way that they portrayed it was that they were threatening him to stay on as the FBI informant instead of him being able to walk away from it, and then continue to be a part of that Black Panther party to find out information. And so there's that part when at any time he could have walked away. So I do see why you say that, because of the footage they showed at the end of him so-called being remorseful about it, that is showing for that documentary that they ended up putting out.
Yeah, it sounded like he didn't even care.
Right. So it seems like, but I feel like the way they portrayed him ultimately in that documentary, which I wish I can find and watch myself, he committed suicide. So obviously he felt something. He felt punished, or he felt like he was at a point where like his back was against the wall.
Yeah.
For him to commit suicide. Yeah,
I think what I read was I think he eventually relocated and changed his whole name. I think he changed his name to like Bill Hart or something like that. I think he changed his whole identity at some point to try to get away from it. I think it caught back up to him. And they said he committed suicide. It was a car accident, but they ruled it a suicide. It said it was right after the documentary came out in 1990.
Right.
So
right after it aired. That's what it said in the
the credits.
Yeah.
Like at the end, they said that he committed suicide after the documentary aired.
Yeah, I ended up reading more into it, and apparently he tried to commit suicide by jumping out of a 2-story building, and his uncle pulled him back and got them together. And when he left his uncle, that was the last person he spent time with. And they said he was driving and got into a real bad wreck, which they said was a suicide.
Wow. So obviously he felt something.
He probably did, but like you said in that interview, it didn't seem like he really gave a shit. Like it didn't seem like he saw himself as he didn't seem like he was remorseful about it. But in the movie, it seemed like he was very, very, he didn't even want to do it at first, and he was just forced to do it. So I don't know, but that's movie shit. You have to have something like that in the movie. You have to have a narrative and a character arc like that. This is movie things, If you want to see a documentary, go watch the documentary. I don't think anybody should learn. Figgy did the right thing, man. That's what people should do when they see this movie and don't know about the Black Panthers. Go do the actual research and see what's true and what's not. Don't expect this to be a college course on the Black Panthers, man. It's supposed to be entertaining first and foremost. It's a movie.
Yeah, it's the same thing with TV shows too.
Right, and it says at the beginning of it, inspired by true events.
Yes.
Yeah.
So it's not necessarily a cover to cover true story. They're gonna embellish some things throughout the movie because that's Hollywood.
Yeah,
exactly.
And plus, I mean, I'm not in the movie game or nothing, but maybe it's they can't end the movie the way the true event happened.
Yeah.
So they gotta, I guess they gotta end it with him feeling bad about it, or questioning what he did, if it was wrong or not. it probably wouldn't even come out right if he didn't give a shit at the end.
Exactly.
So
like it would be too it was already depressing. It would be too depressing if it was like, okay,
like
the scumbag
how
guy.
would we really feel if the movie ended where he was just like, I don't give a shit. Like that is what it is.
Exactly.
Black people be up in arms.
Yeah.
Be angry as hell.
Yeah.
So like
we be up in arms no matter what.
That's true. And like that's the thing. I'm usually critical about movies. Like I try not to fall into the hype, but this movie I thought was honestly good, man. Like it avoided the pitfalls I thought it would go into. Maybe some people like, I'll be honest, I forgot this movie was coming out until it came out. Really, I forgot. I saw the trailers.
It came out like a year ago. The preview came out.
I saw the trailer, but I forgot until like recently when the commercial started playing that it was even coming out. I think if I was somebody following its production from day one, maybe my expectations will be so high that I'll be disappointed. But as far as I stand, man, it was a good movie. It was a good watch, and it could have been a whole lot worse, man. I expected it to be a whole lot worse, but it wasn't. And I like that if there was no good, like the FBI is portrayed as scumbags in this movie. And I was happy to see that, man. They were racist and terrible people. Even they kind of play around with one guy who you think might end up being okay and doing the right thing, but he flips and is even more of a racist scumbag at the end. So like it's very well done. And yeah, people who complain about it, like I'm a guy who complains a lot, and I'm telling people like it's a good movie, man. Watch it. Don't let the noise.
You even watched it, or at least watch it right now. Like no disrespect, but I thought you wasn't gonna fall into the hype because everybody was talking about it.
It was on HBO Max, man. Come on, I could not watch it. Like it was right. If I had to go to a theater, maybe I would have waited. But if it's right there, like, and I had nothing to do on Friday night, like, of course I'm gonna watch it, man. So yeah. I recommend it if y'all thinking about it or on the fence. Watch it this weekend. You're gonna be if you in Texas, you're gonna be holed up till Tuesday probably anyway. So grab a blanket, light that fireplace, and watch Judas and the Black Messiah. I think you'll enjoy it. I think we all give it the certified. Oh yeah, this is a rating, our new rating system. Judas and the Black Messiah is certified.
Qualified.
Oh, qualified. My bad.
Qualified.
You qualify.
Yeah, we all agree it's qualified.